Okay, what's the name of the mask?
Yes, it's called a Dan mask.
Can you explain this for me?
Yes, a Dan mask is basically it's an African mask or whatnot, and it was used to celebrate or to uh, or to acknowledge one from growing from a young male to an adult male. And so it was used in a celebration to, I say, as a rites of passage, from the young adult to a full grown adult. And so during the festivals, they would actually dance in these masks, which would carry on, with the celebration of one completing his rites of passage, going from a young male to an adult. And so, in the midst of that, we are celebrating right now. You know what I'm saying? Individuals, that are making that transition from being a young male to an adult. And you'll find a lot of people, a lot of men and women, what Nas would say, they're still stuck in their second childhood. And, living in that second childhood, they have not learned the lessons that they should have learned, in their younger lives so that they can complete their rite of passage to, go forth in their adult life or whatnot. So that explains that. But I'm just so happy to be on your platform, as King Het Haru Baba Ampu Amin Ray, AKA, I really love the fact that you put together this platform so that we can have the meeting of the minds and, we can actually come together and come up with different topics and share our thoughts on a few things. And so primarily, looking at the unspoken truth, man, I mean, looking at that situation with Jalea and, you had what is it? Mana, and then you
Mela,
had the other gentleman on.
Mela something. She's French, I believe. Mela something.
Yeah, Manco or something like that. And then you had the NS Crises, which was the Navy nuclear physicist or whatnot. And it was an interesting dialogue that they had, man. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I think I should probably play the video.
Okay.
What do you think?
That sounds good.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
What
Hi.
are you reading?
Yeah, I was actually reading. I ship out in a few days, so I was just reading The Art of Strategy.
Okay.
For the military?
Yeah, so actually I'm a nuclear physicist for the Navy.
No.
So I do that in a few days.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
How old are you?
I am 27. I look a little young. I'm not that young.
Yeah, you look young.
So where do you live?
So I'm actually in the Woodlands, Texas right now. Right down there by Houston. I'm about 30 minutes away from Houston. So I'm a little close.
Oh, nice. Okay, so tell me a little bit about yourself.
Man, where do I start? I like martial arts a lot. I did a bit of pharmacy back when I was a little bit younger, about 2-3 years ago. I got certified at pharmacy around when I was 17. I didn't really do anything with it. I went to university for a while. I was getting like a business degree. So I have a bachelor's in business. And then I did pharmacy for a little while, for about 3 years, and then got bored. So I was like, let's go see what the military has to offer. Didn't do anything. I did my PICAT about a year ago, got a 96 on that. It goes up to a 99, got a 96. They offered me nuclear physics, and I was like, why the fuck not? So I went there, and now I ship out in a few days.
Oh, okay, nice. Well, best of luck as you ship out pineapples.
Yeah. Why?
Because he literally didn't tell me any qualities about himself. He's just like, I made a 96 on this. I did this. And I feel like I did that at first too. But however, I need a man with some personality.
my take is, and there's like almost when you put on YouTube and you type in nuclear physicist gets rejected,
Uh-huh.
almost about a thousand videos will come up. I'm talking page
Okay.
after page after. So everybody's talking about this, man. And it's
Right.
hard. It's really, really hard to say something that hasn't already been said before about this, And I just watched because I'm a truck driver, and I drive 3 hours a day.
Right.
I'm sorry, 6 hours a day. I drive 3 hours to Columbus and 3 hours back.
Right.
And I have a lot of time on the road, so I listen to a lot of YouTube content. And I listened to a show today. They kind of changed my thinking on this a little. Well, not changed my thinking, but it gave me a new perspective to consider, I would say, um, and that perspective actually is to look at it from a point of view of, if I'm, if Kevin Samuels talked about high value men a lot on this platform, right? And then he talked about high value women, right? And
Uh-huh.
we did on one episode, he said there's a difference between high value women and women that are in high demand. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. And he explained it and broke it down, and he said the woman that is in high demand is not necessarily always the woman with the PhD and the money and stuff, right? Because those women particularly crave power. They love their job. They put their job before anything else. And the more money women tend to have, majority of them, and I have to once again put out a disclaimer because when I say the word woman, I don't mean every woman, but the more money that they tend to have, the less respect that they will have for a man, right? Because they are the alpha, they are the provider, they are, what a man is supposed to be.
That's
especially a man making less money. So I say that to say this is a woman in high demand basically being different from a high value woman. High demand meaning you go to the supermarket and they ran out of milk, the vitamin D, country brand made milk that everybody loves. It's in high demand. It's in high demand, so that means that there's less of them, right? So a lot of women, when they place themselves in the dating market to find a suitor, they think they're under the impression that if I do this, if I do that, if I do this, then I will get a great man. That will translate into a great man. See, and what they're doing is they try to do what men do, right? We have to work on our value. We as men, when we are born into this world, okay, we have to level up, quote unquote, right? Woman doesn't have to level up like we do, right? They're already born with the vagina. They're already born with the womb, right? For production. So there's a lot of women out there in the world with the mind frame of a man, thinking that they can do what we do in order to get a better outcome in this world, and it's not like that. So and I know I'm going on and on, but um, I'm trying to circle around to my point in a roundabout way, but
I got you.
the high demand is like the PlayStation 5, right? Where
Yes.
every time there's a shipment and there's a stock, uh you only know about it for a short window, a short period, and only a select type of customer knows about it. And then in a few hours, they're out of stock again. Okay. That's
Right.
what you call high demand. So to me, a high demand woman is a woman who will cooperate, who will submit, who doesn't put her career over, anything else, the value of a man, or um, you know, um, who respects her man.
Right.
So getting back to my point about this new perspective that I gained today, I still have not changed my mind and how, and what I feel about, what I think about this. But just the insight that I got was that um sometimes, just keeping it simple, you can't judge a woman when you're looking for a woman to be with, right?
Right.
Um, um, everybody has what they call pet peeves, and
Right.
one of my pet peeves is when a woman starts talking, right? She
Right.
can't stop talking about herself, and
Mm,
she leaves you no room to interject in the conversation because she is so caught up in herself that you can't even get a word in. That's one of my pet peeves. And believe it or not, contrary to popular belief, women have pet peeves too.
I agree.
And now I was ready to come on here and just demolish this one, which I'm still gonna do.
Right. Right.
But I just wanted to start it off like that because
Sure.
no matter what the situation is, and I believe in this whole manosphere revolution going on, right?
Right.
There's two things going on right now. There's a manosphere where Kevin Samuels come from and his whole network of people. There's a whole bunch of people on YouTube who does content strictly for the guy and in order to empower the black male and lift him up and to, it's like like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know how Thor had his own movies, Iron Man had his own movies, Hulk had his own movies, and on and on.
Yeah.
Captain America. So it's this going on YouTube where you got a whole bunch of black people that are friends, right?
Right.
Um, who all have successful YouTube channels, who all talk to the same demographic of audiences, pretty much. Um,
Yes.
and there's another revolution going on the woman's side, uh, that comes out of like a feminist type of socialism, and they call it the gynocracy.
Oh, see,
Have you heard that?
I never heard of it. I'd like to know more about it.
It comes from the word. No, I couldn't tell you anything about it. I just I just know the name of it.
Okay.
And I think the word derives from gynecology, and
Right.
so gynocracy is what they call it. And I can speculate as to what their motive and their agenda is, but I don't want to do that.
Sure.
But yeah, there's these revolutions going on where there's a move in the Black community away from the Black woman. And it all stems from, now we live in an age of cell phones, social media. 20 years ago, even when we were growing up, John, right?
Right.
None of this ever existed. You can now see things that you've never seen before on social media. Things go viral that you've always heard about it, but now you can actually see things because everyone has a cell phone. There's a camera in virtually every square inch of the world right now. Okay.
That's right.
So when I see something like this, I am not surprised by it because we as men already knew what these females were about. You understand what I'm saying? So I'll yield right there and I'll let you come in.
Well,
I
that's
don't
good.
want to take up. I could go on, but you know.
Yeah, that's good right there, though. That's really good because once you look at what you were saying, when it comes to, knowing who you are, and when you look at that interview, it sounded like a job interview at first. I had to watch it again, like, well, wait a minute, what's going on here? But actually,
Yeah, apparently it was a dating show where they,
right,
and
dating.
they're doing more, and believe it or not, they're doing more and more of this on YouTube.
That's
Where
right.
where they'll bring in a woman or a man, and they'll have people who are watching YouTube either email them or call in or whatever the case may be. But yeah, you're seeing more and more of this go on.
That's
But go
right.
ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's good. And so maybe in this situation here, when you look at the situation with this gentleman, he was really trying to give his background on who he was. But according to her, she felt like he did not explain himself or talked about himself, but he spoke more about what he accomplished. And that's not what she was looking for. But when you look at that, the basis to a male high value, trait, or when you look at what high value is, he basically, I could see where he was emotionally intelligent. I could see where he had purpose. You could tell he takes care of himself. He had high self-esteem. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
When you look at that, it looks like he generated his own self-esteem without any edification of that woman. You feel what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
He was very assertive, and he knew the power of dynamics because when you go back to what he said, he in the opening, he said that he was reading a book, and the title of that book was called The Art of Strategy. And when you do your research on that book,
very intellectual, intelligent person. That's how he came across to me, and I didn't even know that he was reading a book. Because I was looking for the original clip, but
yeah,
I had when I typed it in YouTube, all these videos came up, and it was like, well, which one is it? So, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
yes, and it was called The Art of Strategy. And when you look at that title, it just reminds me of the book called The Art of War.
Yes.
And the topic is, know yourself and know your enemy. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And so when you look at Sun Tzu's strategies and look at his charts in the midst of that book called The Art of War, and then you go over to The Art of Strategy, on which the young man by the name of N.S. Crises, what he was reading, the whole methodology of the book is to guide a businessman, you know, through a game theorist, you know, or their theme would be look forward and reason backward. When it comes to looking forward and reason backward, what comes to mind to you?
Well, what comes to mind when you say that, brother, is planning for the future to me and learning from the past.
Yes, I agree. You know, so when you look at those two, you know, it looks like, you know, he was on the straight and narrow, and, you know, he is looking for growth in his mindset, you know, and he's taking responsibility because you talked about his test scores. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like he had a well planned out, you know, life that he would be able to automatically provide financially, you know, because when you look at a nuclear physicist, you know, for the Navy, you know, their responsibilities are to provide maintenance on steam powered plants, you know, sent aboard a aircraft or on a submarine for safety. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to that, you know, in the midst of him describing himself, he was really showing the side of him knowing the power of dynamics, which everything else will fall up under what he was saying because he honestly knew his own value. And it's unfortunate that Jalea, you know, did not see that or wasn't interested in that because she wanted to hear more of a social response or a more emotional response versus an intellectual response or versus a power growth mindset response.
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. Hey, you hit the nail right on the head, my brother. You hit the nail right on the head, and that's what I was actually going to talk about. Give me a minute. Give me 1 second. Actually, I'm just going to take a sip of this.
You got it. You got it.
There's an old hip hop song. It had a lot of the old school rappers on it. It was like a collaboration. I think Hammer was on it. KRS-One was on it. Chuck D. A lot of old school rappers.
Self-destruction?
Yeah, it's called Self-Destruction. You ever heard of that?
Yes.
Have you heard the song?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And this song, as old as it is, has been weighing on my mind for pretty much a long time. Looking at the state of affairs our community is in as a Black culture, we have the most powerful mediums in the world that transcends cultures. It's a multi-million-dollar moneymaker.
Yes.
wins Grammys. It even spills over into the medium of movies. When you have a lot of rappers go and win Oscars. Okay.
That's
Like
right.
Eminem won an Oscar. I'm trying to think what other rapper. I'm not sure if he's the only rapper to win an Oscar or not. But hip hop is a juggernaut that we as a Black people have created. And it speaks to the potential because hip hop is an entertainment. Okay.
Right.
There have been a lot of charities and, residual good things that come out of hip hop. Right. But it's not a juggernaut per se, like a political juggernaut or a health and wellness juggernaut or a scientific juggernaut. It is a medium in the music category.
Right.
Okay. So that being said, I think it was Confucius that said, you can tell the survivability of a society by looking at its culture. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as you were growing up as a young man, my brother, and there was a point in time where you didn't like women yet, right?
Well, I came out the womb loving some women, man.
Okay, so
That
let me rephrase the question. Okay,
kind of beautiful.
let me rephrase the question.
Yeah.
There was a point in your life where you weren't as interested in sex as you are now, before you got all your hormones, right?
That is correct.
Before you went through puberty,
Right.
right?
Right.
As you transition to that young adult and you started looking at the opposite sex with different eyes, right?
Right.
I want to say you grew up in the same city I did, so the majority of them were Black females. What did you notice in your early years of dealing with the opposite sex? Did you notice how the Black female always wanted the thug and the bad guy and the guy that they deemed quote unquote to be cool or whatnot? Did you notice that? Or is it
Yes.
just me?
No, I noticed that. In the classroom, you would have the class clown and he would make everybody laugh. And, the girls would be giggling and whispering to each other. Because sometimes during those outbursts in class, he would or she would say something, inappropriate, in which it would cause the class to laugh. And so I noticed that with the young girls, if you can make them laugh, you had their heart. And so one thing that these class clowns would do, they would make them laugh to the point to where it sparked their interest. But yet at the same time, that girl noticed the bad kid was able to make her laugh. And the good kid was boring because the good kid didn't know how to make her laugh. So she ignored the good guy and went to the bad guy, not knowing that, yeah, he's going to make you laugh, but he also will get you kicked out of class too. He going to make you laugh, but he's also going to write a nasty love letter to you and your mama go find it. He gonna make you laugh, but at the same time, your daddy gonna find out that that same boy that wrote you that letter, he's good friends with his dad. So he gonna have to have something to say to his father. You see what I'm saying? So these young girls, they didn't really look at the outcome of taking a likings to these, I would say, class clowns or the popular individuals that knew how to make them laugh. And so again, that's going to the emotions, how these guys would make them feel, versus the good guy that was nice to him. Hey, you got a pencil I can borrow? Oh yeah, I got it right here. There you go. Then the good guy gave her a pencil. But then she would take the pencil from the good guy and go to the class clown and say, hey, you ain't got a pencil? The class clown would say, no, I forgot mine at home. And she'd give the good guy's pencil to the class clown. So now the good guy looking like, I thought you needed this pencil, girl. But really, you took my pencil to give it to the class clown. You see what I'm saying? And so made you
Right.
feel, well, if he's getting stuff for free, but I'm giving away all my stuff just to cater to him through her, then maybe I should be a bad guy too. Or maybe I should be a class clown. But then the good guy try to be like the class clown, and people look at him and say, oh, you corny. That wasn't funny. So now you get an attitude and you're mad because you didn't get the same response that the class clown did.
And now he's slipping in his grades.
Right.
He's his parent, he's getting in trouble more.
Right.
His parents are trying to figure out now, and that's another residual effect of this culture that we've developed, that I want to say it's not a good culture. It's not, it's anytime where you have, as I was speaking on before, the hip hop medium, right? And what we've done is, if you look in the news right now, right, some of the biggest rappers in the game are being indicted left and right. Or every time I look up, they're being shot, right? And there was a time where in hip hop, where the only hottest selling rap artist, and it's still going on today, and this didn't start until, I want to say, with NWA. Let's just put it out there like that, where it wasn't about skill or lyricism.
Right.
It was about who had the biggest knot, or who had the shiniest teeth, or who was the biggest pimp, or the biggest. It wasn't about rap anymore. It became a street thing. We glamorized the worst person in our society.
Right.
Right. And made it to where that's what all the women want. And we put this person on a high pedestal, and he became all of a sudden the high value man in this culture. And the intelligent, good grades, well-spoken men who usually end up with all the power and all the money, right, became looked upon as being weird or gay or inadequate somehow, right?
Right.
Well, see, and that's the problem, because what other society or culture does that?
Right.
This individual, after, and this probably could have been the best thing that ever happened to him, because this lady struck me as the kind of lady who would who typically goes on to have multiple kids with multiple baby daddies and end up in her 40s to mid 40s, wishing that she would have done differently and took that guy
Right.
after, you know, instead of choosing the substance, she went for surface, it seems to me, you know. And this is just a little slice. I wasn't surprised by this. I wasn't shocked. I wasn't, you know, thrown back off my feet, because
Right.
I've seen this time and time and time again. I've been passed over for being too intelligent and not enough this, you know, or being too well spoken and not enough that, you know.
Right.
So this, as a black man, to me, this doesn't surprise me at all. Not by
Right.
one bit. Um,
Uh,
you know.
And it's interesting because when you go to one of the oldest books in the world, it was called Ptah-hotep, or the Maxims of Ptah-hotep, or today is a misnomer, the Instructions of Ptah-hotep, which around 2375 BCE, or you would say the fifth dynasty of ancient Kemet, or today is a misnomer, ancient Egypt. It was a wisdom literature that was written, and you'll find his instructions. He has the first one. He's giving advice, to his son, and he says, "Be not proud, because thou art learned, but discourse with the ignorant man as with the sage. For no limit can be set to skill, neither is there any craftsman that possesseth full advantages. Fair speech is more rare than emeralds that is found by a slave maiden on the pebbles." What are your thoughts on that when it relates to this topic?
Well, that sounds very profound. Break it down for us, illiterate, learning disabled people.
Yes. So
Layman's term,
he was
layman.
basically saying, yes. So he was basically saying, if thou find an arguer talking, thy fellow one that is within thy reach, keep not silent when he oft say evil. So shalt thou be, it will be the applause on the part of the listener, and thy name shall be good in the knowledge of princes. So that's more of a breakdown to the first. And so in our layman terms, it would be to not only just humble yourself in front of those who may know less than you. An example of what I just did. You mentioned how the eloquence was at a level to where some may not understand. And so there's a crisis between relevance and identity, because it seems like the more relevant you are, the less identifiable you are.
Very deep, brother. And it's so true.
And so in the midst of their communication, going back to what I just said, it seems like the more relevant you are, the greater the risk of losing one's identity.
Mhm.
And
Well,
so,
it seems like it boils down to priority.
right,
Are you staying true to what's important, or are you staying true to uh, what you perceive socially is important? Um,
right,
when I say that old hip hop song, Self Destruction, these women, Black women in particular, are toxic when it comes to making choices in men. And I've said this before. I've said this before. And I don't know, as a Western society, if we've given our women too much freedom. I hate to say it, but, and it could spark a major controversy for saying something like that. But if you look around the world in countries, when the women have less and less freedom, and if you even look back in history, where the women doesn't have, now I'm not saying that women should not be free, but it seems like the more freedom that women have, the more chaos is introduced into the society. That's what it looks like. That's what it seems to me when you look at the numbers and the statistics and the history. Because when you look across the world, let's take for instance the Arabic countries. Women are a
right,
lot happier. Women are a lot happier in a structured society where the burden of making decisions and being the provider is not shouldered upon them.
right,
Um, but yeah, women, and a lot of it has to do with upbringing. I always go back to this too, because when you don't have that father figure in the home, uh, showing you how a woman is supposed to be treated, right? They in
right,
turn go out into the world seeking that validation um, from their potential suitors because they never found it. They don't know what a real marriage or a mother and father or any type of good, productive, fruitful relationship is supposed to look like. So
yes, that's so
leave it
true.
to leave it to them. You leave it to them, then they have no other recourse but to go by what makes their cookie wet.
Right, right,
They have no other recourse but to go by the latest trend or the hot boys or the block boys or the trap boys. Man, those boys are so cool, man. They always got the latest car, and they always got
right,
those women in the car with them, twerking and half naked. They always got all the females, and I just need me one of those, right? So I could then try to
right.
change him, right? And despite all these groupies that he's fucking, he's gonna change and he's gonna settle down with me.
That's
When
right.
why in the fuck would he do that?
Right, right, right.
But see, they're not logical thinkers like men are. They are emotional thinkers. They don't look at the substance, they look at the surface. Uh, Shout out to Charles Faulkner. He says this phrase all the time. Women look at the price of things, while men look at the value of things.
Oh, I like that. Wow.
Now you leave it to them to go find the father of their child. It's amazing how many women will have multiple kids, right? And you ask them why aren't they married, and they said, "Oh, it didn't work out." No, they give this flippant, dumb response, like, uh, "Oh yeah, well, I just wasn't feeling them. We grew apart, and blah blah blah, and I was young and dumb, and the typical things that you usually hear, right?"
Right.
When you almost gave your life and risked death to reproduce a carbon copy of a man, right? You
Right.
almost killed yourself. You almost killed yourself to have a man's baby, but he was not good enough to get married to.
See? Wow.
And they expect for a man down the line to come back and save them for the dumbass choices that they made while they was younger. A man like my boy in his crisis.
Mm.
And
Wow.
they actually believe that they might find a man, a good man, a high value man, making money, enough money to uh to sustain their fantasy lifestyle, right? And
Right.
take the kids, take the kids, right, with all these baby daddies
Right.
and support them.
Wow.
Because they think that their value, what they think is, what they think is that their value sustains, right? They think
Right.
that their vagina will never lose its value. Okay. But name one thing that doesn't devalue. Kevin Samuel said it all the time. Name one thing that does not, that keeps its value after you purchase it.
Mm. See that? Wow. And so when you look at that and hear that, would you agree that when a man asks a woman out on a date, he's asking to have sex?
I think when a man asks a woman on a date, it's a signal that he's attracted to the woman. Okay. Attracted enough, yes, to have sex with the woman. Yes. But also
Right.
interested enough to get to know her. It's typically what a date
And
is
so,
for. Getting to know someone, and you know, you don't have to know someone to have sex, you know. We don't have to
right.
go on a date. We don't have to go on a date. I've been on plenty times where I've had sex with a woman and didn't go take her out or nothing. I just went to her house and, chilled and, many a times,
Right.
dating is specific for the future and possible relationship or a possible marriage. So when a man asks
Okay.
a woman to date, he's signaling that not only is he attracted for sex, but he wants to get to know you too as well.
So would you say time frame that date should be kept, like between noon and 3 p.m.? Sex would not actually be on the menu. But if the woman agrees to go on a date after 5 o'clock, she should automatically know that beyond any shadow of a doubt that sex may be on the menu. So does that lower her value if she decides to go on a date after 5 o'clock p.m.?
Not necessarily. I've heard of um, that perception before, and I just, me personally, it's just organic. Whatever happens, happens. I've been on dates where it was late at night and nothing happened. So it all depends, man. I've been with females where we just went straight to the sex and no dates, and at various times of the day. So I never really actually gave it much thought of um, what time or those kind of optics. You know what I mean?
Right, right. That makes sense. And so with me in closing, before I wrap it up for the evening, just to recap, saying on this interview that they had, I really feel like he was placed in an uncomfortable situation to where with the art of war is know yourself and also know your enemy. Okay. He was reading The Art of Strategy, in which it probably didn't really help him in that state because that was more for a gamer theorist or whatnot. And so when it came down to him effectively not knowing who his enemy was, which was her, you know what I mean? Because when you look at it, they did not see eye to eye. And so he should have felt that in the beginning because she took control over the whole conversation.
Yeah.
It's like he was chasing after her when being a high value male, you don't do that.
No.
And so she was leading the conversation in which she was leading him to the slaughter, which if he was emotionally unstable, it could have caused him to fall into lack of a self-esteem or to say, oh, I'm not good enough. When in actuality, he should have knew the art of war in that conversation, because if he did, he wouldn't have went out like that. To where she was able to call pineapples.
Now,
and just
it's interesting because I didn't. That's a great point you just made, and I want to just add on to that, and I'll wrap it up. But see, when you engage in the combat of conversation, let's just call it that, yeah,
right.
you do. There is a period of time where a man has to take control and display his leadership and display his dominance for that in order to get that woman's respect and attraction. And I did not see where I kind of, and someone else touched on this too, and they actually noted or observed that he seemed to come across as a little nervous too, right? But now you have that, right? Whenever a person gets nervous, right? What do?
Right.
We tend to put our best accomplishments we tend to project them in front of us as a shield, right?
Right.
Hey, straight A's, 96 out of 99, certified pharmacist, nuclear physicist, this was a young man, right, on a YouTube platform, probably with a bunch of subscribers, a lot of subscribers. I'm going to venture to say, because this video went viral, right?
Right.
So, and then there's that, right? And then there's this, and this will be my last point. Even with that said, right? Women, they say that there's no good men out here. They say that there are not enough Black male role model leaders out here, right? They say
Right.
that there are not enough intelligent. You can either have, you either have the intelligence or the money, right? Typically, the men with the money aren't the best looking, right? Or typically, the best looking guys are the thugs and no good niggers, right? So
Right.
here you have a situation where you have no homo. This is a good looking brother, man,
Right.
with a PhD, probably, right?
Yes.
In the martial arts and the military. So he can protect your ass, right?
Right.
So here you have the complete package, right? And it seems to me, right, because with these modern feminist women, right, who like to be in control, right? They love the beta male simps, right?
Right.
This woman will probably get into the relationship and be the dominant person in that relationship. She will wear the pants. She will tell the man what to do, and she is probably intimidated by power,
Right.
because most of them are.
Wow.
They say that men are intimidated by powerful women or by strong women, right?
Right.
Well, it's not that we are intimidated. It's the fact that we don't want to deal with your funky ass.
Right.
I don't, after dealing in this world with all this racist shit that a Black man got to deal with, right?
That's true.
And strategizing and going to war, and when you go home, you want to go home to an oasis. You want to go home to something soft, something sweet, and something sexy. I don't want to come home to a man with a vagina.
That's right.
And that's why I'm divorced now.
Right. That's right.
Women are intimidated by strong, powerful, intellectual men who they feel that they cannot manipulate.
Wow.
Because somebody that's smart, she wouldn't be able to manipulate.
Right. Right.
And with that said, bro, I'm gonna leave it at that. We gotta do this again, brother. I thoroughly enjoyed this, man.
That's good,
Um,
man. And just to, hear what some would call the Proverbs, in chapter 13, it mentions more instructions in the modern day version where it says, a wise son hears his father's instructions, and a scoffer does not listen to rebuke.
mhm.
From the fruit of his mouth, a man eats what is good, but the desire of the treacherous is for violence. And it says, whoever guards his mouth preserves his life, but he who opens wide his lips comes to destruction. And so when you look at that, it's crazy because, a lot of times, even when you see men that know their value, it's just that emotional part of them will cause them to lash out, and it will cause them to, speak what's on their mind, but yet at the same time, they lose control in front of that woman because now he is taking on a feminine position to get loud and to get very abrasive, but yet as an alpha, as one who is in self-control, he will manage his tone. He will be a man of a few words and keep it moving from there. But in otherwise, it's interesting to see, saying how outspoken some women can be. And when you look at what even the Bible speaks on about a woman that is treacherous, or today we will call it toxic, it's interesting because when you go in there, you will see where even in, I'll say, let me see, there was a woman by the name of Jezebel in the Bible. You heard of her before?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so it's like God hated Jezebel, and part of the reason why he hated her was because she was taking more of the dominant position over King Ahab. When God put Ahab into place, Jezebel was basically trying to trump what Ahab's God wanted him to do. And so because she was the more of an aggressor, it caused evil to come over the children of God to the point to where a lot of horrible things happen. And so us as men, we have to know how to orchestrate the arts of war when it comes to our women, when it comes to our career, when it comes to ourselves. Because again, the whole theme of it is know thyself and know your enemy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Real talk.
No
And
doubt.
listen, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Tell everybody what your name is again.
Yes, you can call me King. Let's keep it simple. King it is.
That long word again. You said.
Yes, yes. King Het Haru Baba Ampu Amen Re.
Okay, and what is that? What does that derive from? Where's that culture from?
Yes, yes. It comes from the ancient Medu Neter, or today would be known as the hieroglyph or whatnot.
Wow.
Yep. Or
is that Egypt? Is that Egypt? Egyptian?
Right. Modern day they will call it Egyptian, but in its normal or in its ancient terms, it would be Kemet or Kemet.
Wow. Hey, you are a deep brother, man. We gotta do this again.
That sounds good. I appreciate you, man. And you're a wise brother. Keep up the good work. Your channel is blowing up and I'm loving it, man. I'm looking for more subscribers. And for those that are listening in, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe, because we're going to be having so many more topics to go over. And this is only the beginning.
Right. And shout out to my cousin, Big Shank. He got the Shank Show. Make sure y'all check that out. But yeah, until the next time, it's been real, y'all. Check me out. I got more content on the way. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Peace.
Peace.